Copyright 2017 Win Your Brand. All rights reserved. This video is subject to copyright owned by Win Your Brand. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this video is expressly prohibited, unless Win Your Brand has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.
Okay, so welcome to our presentation, and I want to start with the following.
I want to start with this video first.
No, we gotta go to the soup place.
What soup place?
There's a soup stand. Kramer's been going there.
He's always raving. I finally got a chance to go there the other day, and I tell you this, you will be stunned.
Stunned by soup?
You can't eat this soup standing up, your knees buckle.
Huh? All right, let's go. Come on.
There's only one caveat. The guy who runs the place is a little temperamental, especially about the ordering procedure. He's secretly referred to as the soup Nazi.
Why? What happens if you don't order right?
He yells and you don't get your soup.
What?
Just follow the ordering procedure and you will be fine.
All right, let's go over that again.
All right. As you walk in the place, move immediately to your right. The main thing is to keep the line moving.
So you hold out your money, speak your soup in a loud, clear voice, step to the left and receive.
Right. It's very important not to embellish on your order. No extraneous comments. No questions. No compliments.
Oh boy, I'm really scared.
Elaine!
All right, Jared, it's enough now about the soup now.
Medium turkey chili.
Medium crab bisque.
I didn't get any bread.
Just forget it. Let it go.
Excuse me, I think you forgot my bread.
Bread, $2 extra.
$2, but everyone in front of me got free bread.
You want bread?
Yes, please.
$3! What? No soup for you!
Good afternoon. One large crab bisque to go. Red.
Beautiful. You're pushing your luck, little man.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey there. Oh. One mulligatawny and, what is that right there? Is that lima bean?
Yes.
Never been a big fan. You know what? Has anyone ever told you look exactly like Al Pacino? You know, Scent of a Woman? Hoo-ah! Hoo-ah!
Very good. Very good. You know something? No soup for you! Come back. 1 year. Next. Go on. Leave. Get out.
But I didn't do anything!
Next.
Hello.
You think you can get soup? Please, you're wasting everyone's time.
I don't want soup. I can make my own soup. 5 cups chopped porcini mushrooms, half a cup of olive oil, 3 pounds celery.
That is my recipe for wild mushroom.
Yeah, that's right. I got them all. Cold cucumber, corn and crab chowder, mulligatawny.
Mulligatawny.
You're through, soup Nazi. Back it up. No more soup for you.
With no more soup for you, this give you an example when someone is giving instructions and procedures, however no one is actually following it. This is a good example for our starting point here. So we in companies or during our service, we always have our targets, and usually our targets are increasing sales, expand our reach, engage our audience, maximize our profit. And usually, we would like to see this result right now. We would like to see immediate results on any strategy we implement. Today, I will explain a concept of engagement where you don't find yourself as a golden fish swimming against the other fish in the flow. And this is a concept comes from behavioral science and communication have been put together for you, so I can be able to demonstrate to you what are the triggers and how the recipients will receive your messages using specific models and specific concepts. And then at the end, I will explain to you a few things about how you can apply that. Our talk today is the art of engagement. It was provided in the workplace culture and diversity session with Geo Convention. It was actually gone from 9 o'clock till 9:50 at the Terrace Convention Center in room 101-102, Calgary, Alberta. I am Wael Badawy. I can be seen on covers of different magazines. I have been receiving several awards and acknowledgement in the areas of business, innovation, top 40, under 40 distinction awards from different associations and society. I'm also having several books, and one of my lead books have been sold about 10 million copies in 2009, and I can count about 27 books and proceedings I had over my career. Some of them are on Amazon.com and some of them are with other publishers. Our agenda for today, I will explain what do you mean engagement. I will explain why do we need engagement, and I'll explain the barriers of engagement. Engagement means we have actions or words or language or communication or messages where the audience can be mindlessly compliant. The mindlessly compliance concept might be strange for some of you. However, when you look at mindlessly compliant, I want you to imagine birds flying in troops or as a group, and you will always find that these birds will always follow one leader and they will not consider their own direction. They will just basically follow up the leader. So what I'm looking for here is what are the best practice, what should I do to be able to deliver a message and get the audience to act and follow my instruction, my direction, my wishes without giving too much thought so I can have immediate results. If you agree that engagement is equal to mindless compliant, I want to also consider the following. A mindless task is defined in the dictionary as an activity so simple, so repetitive as to be performed automatically without thought or skills, i.e. mechanical, automatic, routine, tedious, boring, monotonous, brainless, and mind-numbing. So if you want to understand what they mean, mindless compliance is basically making tasks very trivial, very automatic, so people don't have to spend more time. That also, compliance means they must secure each other. Corporation or compliance is the action or fact of complying with a wish or command, or the state or fact of according with or a meeting rules or a standard. It also equivalent to acquiescence, an agreement, assent, consent, acceptance, docility, complaisance, pliable, meekness, and submission. So when we provide service, when we provide events, when we provide words through communication or through presentation, and in this context, I'm making it broad enough because I strongly believe that whatever I will explain it in a few minutes, it actually reflects in every single piece of communication coming from your organization or from you or from your leaders, including writing, in words, in graphics, in events, in services. And usually with our service, events, and words, we would like to get our audience or our customers or our clients or the recipients of this particular service, events, and words to take actions and proceed to immediate results. However, against our wishes, what will happen is the audience themselves will pull down this information through their selected attention, and what they will receive, it will not be exactly what you are saying. What they will receive, it goes through their selected attention, you can say it glasses or selected attention span, or it goes through this selected attention, and through this attention they will make a decision what they exactly receive. So if somebody standing on a stage, for example, and he does not look consistent, he does not have the proper dress, and people will get him as not authority, whatever he will say, it will fly by, and they will not, because they give more attention to what his clothes and how he looks like. If you are giving an event and the event is not organized in the right way, and there are so many hiccups, people will just focus on the hiccups, they will not focus on the messages. So to illustrate this example, I want to show you the following video, and I want to see how you react to it.
This is the shell game. I'm going to hide this Hershey's Kiss under this cup, and the object is for you to pay attention and follow along and try to guess which cup the Hershey's Kiss is under at the end.
And now,
guess if it's in the left cup, the middle cup, or the right cup.
where is the Hershey cups?
Let's check the left cup.
Yes, it's in the middle. Yes.
If you guess the middle cup, you got it right.
Yep.
So now we're going to make it a little more complicated. I've added an extra pair of hands, and I've added additional colors here. But that's only to distract you from the pink cups. The pink cups will always have, one of the pink cups will always have the Hershey Kiss underneath. So let's get started. So can you guess where the Hershey Kiss is?
Yes, you may select where the Hershey Kiss is, but did you see the duck? There was a duck in the video, and whoever did not see this video for this is the first time, he will not realize it. Now, it doesn't matter if you see the duck. Did you see the fifth hand inside the video? And if you did not see the fifth hand, it's okay. However, did you notice the change of the color of the middle row from blue to green? So these are examples when you drive the attention, or you ask your audience to follow a specific part, they will just follow, and you can tweak their attention to follow up on your messages. And the goal of these discussions today is I'm sharing few tips and few techniques to be able to drive this selected attention for people to take actions within a reasonable time after your presentation. The second cycle will happen after people will receive what they receive from you. They will actually perceive the information provided to them. And when they perceive it, they use their biased interpretation to interpret the value of the information and the urgency of the information. So they may decide that they don't need this information. They may decide that the information is a repetition to whatever else have been exposed before. They may decide that what you are saying does not have any new aspects to it or new angle to it. So it's basically, you don't have a competitive edge. So if you understand the biased interpretation well, biased interpretation is the tendency to inappropriately analyze ambiguous stimuli, scenarios, and events. So we have to clarify, and we have to ask the proper question, and we have to trigger the interpretation in their subconscious mind and in their mind to the level that we understand as the right interpretation to support our message. After the perceived value, people will repeat using their uncontrolled influence. And the uncontrolled influence is very tricky because it will include their self-talk, their discussions they have with their peer, colleagues, friends, whoever their surrounding are. And nowadays it also extends to what we call it the virtual world or the internet or social media, whatever name you name it, is all these resources you have once you hold your cell phone and you connect to the internet through the Wi-Fi, or the resources which are available over your computer. Nowadays they declare that if you are exposed to a new message or a new brand or a new promise, within 2 minutes each one of us will reach out to their handheld device and they will open up a search screen and they will search this particular new brand or new concept and they will look it out. So this can give you a very good example. Why do you need to have internet presence? Why do you need to have a website? Why do you need to have a social media? And I will go in through a little bit inside each one of those. So the first uncontrolled influence is the self-talk. So when you provide new information, and in this context I'm trying to be flexible enough, I'm trying to be broad enough not to target like specific application. However, you will be exposed to such information if you are running a lunch and learn, if you are running a sales presentation, if you are running a technical presentation within a sales cycle, and if you are running a selling from the stage structure where you basically got few potential customers and put them in a room and try to present generally the information your company has, and you're trying to sell their service or you're trying to sell an engagement after your presentation or at the end of your presentation. And if you are in these situations, please contact me, because each one of those has a little specifics which I can share with you, and if it makes sense for you to apply them, you will see the difference. Now, if I understand the self-talk very well, is through approaching them and paralyze them by addressing the self-talk. So if you are presenting a new concept and you know that people will doubt this concept, you should speak out to their doubt. Once you speak out to their doubt, you are basically overcoming their self-talk. The second uncontrolled influence is the group or the tribe information. Many of us, based on our type, and the type of people are, and the buyers is another topic or another presentation, which is, you can find it in the series of how to sell from the through presentation and or selling through presentations. The second type of uncontrolled influence is the discussion to the tribe or the discussion to the group and the influence of the groups surrounding your audience. And this discussion can be ignited by having questions or having activities. So you can plan out an activity where each one will affirm the value of the information you have. One of the common activities, for example, are the dream board. So if you are selling a transformation, life transformational package or hope, and you start laying down with the example of the dream board and where they would like to see themselves in 10 years, and each one will participate in sharing with the other groups for them to give them confirmation. You can also play with the uncontrolled influence by providing them testimonials from credible individuals they do have, like flagship companies, names of people. And please, when you talk about names of people or companies, you should give a small introduction to give credibility to this source. So if you understand the influence of the group, you have also to consider the nature of the buyer or the audience, because we have like 9 different types of audiences who we can influence. Like, for example, you have leaders, you have followers or tribunal, you have different sets of individuals. So the uncontrolled influence can be controlled from the stage or through the meeting by getting the surrounding to give them an implication that this is what they need. The third uncontrolled influence in this category is called the internet. Nowadays, we know that within 2 minutes, if you are exposed to a brand new concept or a brand new product. So let's, for example, you went to a appliance store and you found this purple set of washer and dryer, and you are shopping for washer and dryer, or you have an interest to shop in washer and dryer in the near future. If you stand in front of this particular new set and it's purple, just to make it a different set that we never ever seen before in the store, and it has a unique name on it, different name than what you else found, or even the same name, that people will tell it about maybe 92% of the individuals going across this particular brand, they will reach out to their phone and they will actually read online about this product. And those who are 3 to 5% of those, based on different demographic and different regions, will actually compare prices, and they will write the name of the product and the price of it to try to figure out is this prices and what are the testimonial, what are the feedback of other customers. So this will drive us to a very interesting proposition here, that's having an online presence and having a special website, having you call it LinkedIn, you call it Facebook, you call it G+, you call it being visible on search engines. It's a very key today, and this importance started around 2012, 2014, when social media and the internet start to be mainstream of our life, when each one of us spend between 1 hour to 6 hours over the internet, sharing and reading information and select information. This particular topic is very critical, because I do know very well that some of the business coaches out there, they try to play with your interests. They try to say, okay, you know what, you don't really need an internet, you basically can have some sort of LinkedIn profile, or you cannot be present at all. Till today, there are consultants, suppliers, and companies are very proud that they have customers without having a presence online. And those customers, the message to them is very simple. You know what? If you are really into the big business, if you are into the $1 million deal, if you want to grow, if you want to multiply your income, you cannot ignore any of these avenues, because this is basically can be avenues uncontrolled for you, where your audience will basically check out. And if you drive a new concept or a new service, and somebody will go online and they found a better information than you on somebody else, guess what will happen? You are right. They will basically hire the other company and establish a communication with the other consultant, and they will not look after you. So consider the uncontrolled influence from the online presence as one of the key aspects of development if you are looking to start new business. The following stage will talk about retain. So after you give a presentation or a sheet or a discussion, people will retain in their biased memory. And their biased memory can be influenced based on what you can do. Their biased memory can be controlled by asking them to develop milestones, by asking them to build priority list, by asking them to take notes of the main point. And you can basically repeat the most important point of your presentation. You can follow up when it's fresh in their mind, which means within 1 to 2 days after a meeting or a show, you should be able to communicate back and look up for a follow-up. You can also use neutrally worded question when you solicit information, because you don't want to get them emotional bias. You don't want to get them triggers that they will block their mind or their memory from retaining your information. And you always have to make it simple for them. You always have to make it logical to them. You always have to make it good enough why you share this information, what's the advantage of sharing this information. And finally, you must ask questions. Ask questions what they retain, what they liked, and what they want to do. The following stage from that will be what? As you may see here, audience are following the red arrow. And through the red arrow, they go through this cycle. And this cycle has nothing to do with your service, and it did not even reach actions and results. So from their retention, they will drive their feeling and thoughts. And here I have to stop and give you some kind of information to help you why this is different than the standard psychology T triangle. Because we believe that people have either thinker or feeler. So we don't buy into that thoughts will trigger your emotions, and because if you are a feelers, you don't need thoughts to trigger your emotions. If you are feelers, you have your feelings will trigger your emotions. If you are thinker, your thoughts will trigger your emotions. So when you look at feeling and thoughts, people are happy, sad, anxiety, upset, they are content, they are angry. So if I get them excited about the information I'm sharing with them, and I'm telling them why this information is important for them, and sharing it from the anxiety is much better, because I can trigger their own emotion and their behavior. And when I trigger their emotion and behavior, I will grasp their ideas, their opinions, their belief. I can draw back from their life experience, and I can build a physical conditions for them to sign up and take over the actions. And I must consider that this information will keep rotating till actions are received and you are delivering what you want. Now, if you want to be on the action side and you want to accelerate the action, you must give an explicit offer or invitation or next step. And we recommend here the 3T law. The 3T law is a law which said if you want anybody to follow your actions, you must tell them what to do, you must give them a tool, and you must give them a treat. And the treat is very important. The risk on getting the treat is that this audience may actually be in a happy state, not on a pain point. So you have to be careful when you position your treat. So having this model, we ask ourselves questions. Why this model is different than desk, than color, personalities, than any other bank code, than any other personality? I want to stop here and ask the following. If you stand in front of a customer or a buyer or a group which you don't know, so 98% of us will stand and sell our concepts, our ideas to individuals that we don't know, we did not meet before. It will not be trivial for me to go to somebody and say, hi, I would like to share with you my knowledge. Would you allow me to access your bank or your desk profile so I know how to talk to you? So because of this, all the material you have about personality, desk, bank code, whatever it is, are not sufficient, are not utilized, are not effective in engaging individuals at the first time ever you will talk to. So we believe we advance by extending the number of operations that we can form without thinking about them. So through our training, we can share in roughly 1 to 2 weeks enough information, and we get practice over 4 to 6 weeks, that you will be able to understand this information and you conduct a standard behavior once you identify these particular characteristics. So if I understand the communication model, now I want to move to the second part, which is the mindless compliant. So how to get somebody mindlessly compliant to my offer, to my next step, to my desire, to my wishes. So mindlessly compliant has 7 pillars, and I will talk about 7 pillars and the 2 other considerations, and at the end I will show you briefly how you can amalgamate all of them so you can have a presentation or a marketing material or a communication piece or an event which touch these people. So the first things in mindlessly compliant is consistency. You must have a consistency between every single piece. So for example, if I want to offer you a solutions and I talk about numbers, the number has to be consistent whenever I'm here, I am different places. My logo for my organization has to be consistent as much as I can. My website has to be consistent to my Facebook, to my social media. My events has to be consistent. I have to be consistent, and consistent is responsible for about 80% of compliance, which means that 88% of people, when people will find you consistent, there are 88% more will be able to join your offer or your program. One of the biggest challenges in consistency is what we always see, that individual will come and say, yeah, you know what, I am a business consultant, and also I am having a photography habit, and I said I'm also doing wedding photographers, and by the way, I also sell essential oils and or maybe coffee beans or whatever it is. If you are offering more than one service, it's good for you, and I'm fully advocating the fact is you must have multi-stream of income and different stream of income, because the reality is we don't have any stability and we don't know exactly what will happen. However, you must only share one aspect of you, because your audience are ignorant. If you can do more than one task, it will confuse them, so they will not buy. They will move away from you. So consistency is very important, and I can elaborate on it more if you get in touch with me, because this is one of the biggest challenge in front of people, especially when you are desperate to what you want to sell. So you can see somebody is selling healthcare, is selling coaching, is selling business, and she is also a scientist. So she's available to sell you whatever you need. This kind of approaches are actually killing her business, because she cannot sell in any of them. So when you look at the consistency pillar of engagement, you must do one thing for a long time. You must be known to do one thing. So once you do one offer, once you do one service, people will realize you're consistent, and they will be basically starting to invite you to learn more from you. The second pillar in mindless compliance, we call it reciprocity. And the reciprocity means get after you give, or give after you get. In reciprocity, I want to share with you one example. Which is 23% compliance. So the example I want to drive here is a study have been made in the restaurant business. People found out that if the waitress will come and give you one candy or one mint with the check at the end, the tips will increase by 3% over 6 months time. Then the study have been extended, and they said, okay, so what about if we give two candies? Like two candies, like two fortune cookies, two mint, two chocolate, whatever candies they gave with the check. So when they apply this, it went up to 14%. When 14% have been achieved, this was great. So what is the next step? If you add more than two, there is no significant increase. However, when they give one candy and they take steps two away and they move back, they found out that this is increased the tips by 23%. So if a waitress will come to you and give you one candy with the paycheck, and then will move 2 steps away and then come back and say, hey, this second one for you, before you type the numbers, you will give her more than 23%, or average of 23% tips, because you will have the perception that the second gift is from her, not from the owner of the store, her or him, not from the owner of the store. However, the owner of the store, he's the one who went and buys the sack of candy, so she didn't have any contributions to the actual purchase of the candy, but the perception is she cares more about you. So the point is not how to give, not what to give, the point is how to give it. So when you give away information and ebooks or engagement points, it has to be seen as coming from you as a special, so you can increase the mindless compliance. The third pillar, we call it appreciation. So people have to appreciate you, they have to like you, they have to foresee you as a potential solution provider to their problem, and you are basically helping them achieving these goals. And the appreciation can be up to 63%. I fully understand that when you sell in a bigger organization, the sales decision is done by a board, or the purchase decision is done by a board or a group or a differently. However, if people will appreciate the information you are providing them, and you communicate the information in a way to show how it will help them, what will happen is those will like you more and will be your advocate, and they will sell your product better. The fourth pillar, we call it urgency or scarcity. So you must declare scarcity and urgency. You must show why they need to buy from you right now, why they should join the program right now, why they should follow up with you by next week or next month. If you don't show them urgency, people are so busy, so they will not come to you. And the scarcity or urgency is responsible for 98% of more compliance. So if I get individuals to buy my product and I don't show them that this product is really urgent, and if they don't jump in right now on it, and you don't give them limited seatings or limited like discount or price, they will not. The example I want to draw here is coming from the aviation industry. So when the Concorde was flying between Paris and the UK and New York, they found the Concorde plane are uneconomical, so they decided to cancel it. So when they announced it will be cancelled by the end of the month, they found out that their sales went to the roof because all airplanes have been fully booked on the following day, and their sales increased from 8% to 100%, sold out. Because everybody understands this is the last chance. This is the last chance to fly a Concorde. And if at the time I was in charge of this company, I will actually extend it for another month, because if they were able to sell more for the second month, they will make enough money to float the whole business and shift it. However, this is the example which we use where we demonstrate that the scarcity and the urgency, because it's the last chance, it drives more sales. The fifth pillar is called social proof. And social proof is a key. Social proof can drive your mindless compliance to the roof as well. And the example I want to share with you here, it comes from the hospitality industry, from the hotels. When you walk in a hotel, you see this sign: 75% of our customers are reusing the towels to save the environment. When you see this sort of signs in a specific study, they found out 34 of the customers who stay 4 nights or more have been reusing one towel for the length of their stay, because now they have a feeling that there is a social proof. The impact of the internet, when we talked about the uncontrolled influence, is great, because now you need to have an internet presence, you need to have people who are following you, you need to have endorsement, you need to have testimonials, you need to be able to provide references. So references, testimonials, it shares that you already have a social proof. Having activities inside your talk where people will get together and do one functions, and then they talk about the function and how good was this activity and how it will help them. It provides social acceptance and social proof, and we found out that 34% of people most likely will buy more because you are having social proof. The next one is authority. And in authority, we understand if you are seen as authority in the field you are, this will increase the mindless compliant to move on with you. Now, how to understand authority? The first example I will give you is talk about physiotherapist, and they found out that if a physiotherapy in the patient room, if she has her own degree on the wall, there are 56% better compliance with her instructions. Moreover, the medical societies in the US declared that if a doctor will write a prescription for weight loss, 67% will have better results, or 67% people more will comply with the same rules within 1 month, and they will start to see some results, because if you have it on a prescription, it means it comes from an authority, from a doctor. It did not come from elsewhere. So this kind of authority is a key. The question is how to demonstrate authority. Nowadays, you can demonstrate authority by writing books, by having your certificates, by being in a magazines. So if you have been receiving awards, if you have received, if there are columns about you in magazines, if you came to the cover of magazine, you should share this within your talk. You can share it as a pre-made video. You can share it as getting images of it. If you have photos with flagship individuals from the market, CEOs of other companies or some activities, don't feel shy. Please put these photos and talk with enthusiasm about what you do. The seventh pillar called commitment. And the commitment is one of the interesting part about compliance, because in commitment, what we found out is if you go to physicians and you are subject to a follow-up appointment, they found out if they give you the pen to write down the date and time when you are coming again, 18% better compliance and 18% more show up for this appointment. So if you get your customers, your audience, people who are following you, to write commit, sometimes we stand and say, yeah, do you agree? Yes, write it down, I agree. Sometimes we stand and ask, okay, can you repeat after me? And you make them committing to what you want them to take forward. This commitment is very critical. It's the seventh item or the seventh pillar of mindless compliant. And mindless compliant are consistency, reciprocity, appreciation, scarcity and urgency, social proof, authority, and commitment. Then what can we do? So these are what I said, framework or component, which goes above and beyond your content. As you notice here, I did not tell you what's your content. What I'm saying is you can go back and review your content and just verify that you do have at least 5 of these 7 pillars if you can. If you have the 7, is awesome. So when I communicate and I have these pillars, I have to understand the following about human personalities. There are what we call it decision dominant dividers. And decision dominant dividers are the domination or how people will hear and listen and feel about what you do. So in the decision dominant dividers, there are 4 types. The top one is the head or logic. So you may engage with individuals who are logical. Logical means what? Logical means they think with their mind. So if I meet somebody who is logical, I have to show him the logic, why they should join. The second dominant divider is the heart, which is feeling. So I have to make sure people are feelers, they feel good about what I offer. And the third type, which is in blue here, which we call it the gut. The gut, people with guts, I love them. 7% of us, you don't need to worry about them. They either like you or don't like you, they buy or they don't buy. You cannot convince them. They have their own mind. So I would love all my customers to be guts, because it shortens all my cycle. They either buy or ignore. The third decision dominant divider, which we can influence, is the feet guys or the steps. These individuals will be interested into knowing every step and what the steps, and they feel lost if they don't have steps. The point I want to make here is each one of us is dominant in 2 of these dividers. There is one which will start. So the question is, how do I know your domination? Very straightforward. If I have the luxury to listen to you and I say, can you tell me? He will say, oh, I think. Or he will say, I hear, I feel. Or he will say, I did it in this way. Can you tell me what did you do? How did you find your last weekend? How did you find your last vacation? How did you find your last job? People will use the language which will let you know they are thinker, feeler, or doer. Nothing here to say which one is better, which one is not. What is better really is you engage with them with their language, with their vocabulary, so you can move on. The second part for the mindless compliance is the behavioral emotional engagement trigger. The behavioral emotional engagement triggers is actually 4 quadrant. And if you know the domination dividers, now you have to trigger it with the right language. And the triggers are basically 4 triggers. There are money triggers, relationship triggers, time to commit triggers, and information triggers. The difference between what we are showing here and what's happening right now in the market is we introduce the emotion states, and I will show you in a minute what is the emotion states and how it will change. So if somebody interested in the money, what does it mean? It doesn't mean that they are greedy, needy, they holding money, or it doesn't have to do anything like that. It means that their interest is to know how much will it cost, what is the return of investment, what the payment plan will be, what credibility you do have, so you can drive them with an interest. So if I understand this trigger, and this will be the one of the triggers, it has to be incorporated in my business, in my presentation, and I can show them how to save money or how to make more money. The second trigger, we call it relationship trigger. The relationship start with yourself, start with everybody around you, and start to extend to all of your tribes. People who have the first trigger as relationship, they are about 40% of us, and in my opinion, this is why makeup, fashion, health products, fitness, emotional transformation products are selling very well, because I believe 40% of us will have the top trigger for them is relationships. So if I come and show how you do it, how you look good when you do it, people will say, yeah, I want to buy that, I want to engage with that. And the third trigger we talk about it here is called time trigger or urgency. So individuals would like to know when you will have results, what's the time, when you will see results, are you saving time, are you stop wasting time. All this kind of information need to be incorporated in your presentation. The fourth type of triggers, we call it process over information. The process over information triggers is a very interesting, because 22% of the population in North America are interested in how the steps are taken to achieve this particular transformation or change. And here I have to stop and say one thing. In industrial cities and large cities and like Calgary and big cities, we meet engineers, we meet accountants, we meet bookkeepers. This kind of professions requires people to follow procedures and steps. So if we have these procedures and steps, we should be able to get these people to actually follow up and buy, because we have to lead with this discussion. So the problem will happen when any of those will be want to change their career and they start to sell something different. What they will find is they will talk from their own quadrant. They will talk about how you do things, not what. I was in this show, and I went around and asked, okay, so what do you do and why you do it? Everybody will explain to me how they can be done, because they don't know that I'm not from the field, so I really curious why you are doing it, but they always talk with the quadrant they belong in. Understanding the different language to talk to these people, you have also to understand is when people are pressured or are happy or they are neutral, these quadrants might be different. So what we recommend is to have every sentence have one quadrant of the sentence address each one of these quadrants. When you talk about the benefit of your service, you must reach out to the 4 quadrant, because what we understand is money and time are very important for CEOs. What we understand is time and the information or process are important for vice presidents and middle management. What we understand is relationship is very critical for usually administrations and some other type of engineers or scientists around. So each one of us will be dominant in 2 quadrants next to each other, and there are more to it than what we can cover here, and I know this is an extended version of the actual 40-minute presentation. However, what I'm sharing with you here is there is also diversion. So somebody, she is feeler, and her trigger primarily is the relationship. Guess what will happen? She doesn't like information and process. When you start and talk about how it will be done without elaborating first why it's important for her and who will benefit from this particular service, she will not, or he will not be interested to listen to you. So understanding these emotions, what we can do is we can tailor and provide articulation of our service events and presentations to impact that will lead to immediate invoking actions with mindless compliance. And this is where my specialty is, and how to switch any presentation you have to meet these particular quadrants and to plan different events so you can achieve mindlessly compliant to your offer. So service events and words, we in our examples have been running around, and we have been able to prove that you can have 53% more sales, up to 6 times, actually not 3, up to 6 times more sales and results based on different characteristics, based on who are your audience and so many other things. Here I'm sharing with you Shamir Ladani, and he actually said that his business doubled in a very short time because he literally applied these particular models. There are so many other testimonials you can see on our website as well. If you'd like to read more about what I'm explaining here, please feel free to reach out to winyourbrand.com/ebook. Put down your email and name, and you will get some of this information. In summary, what I shared with you today is engagement, why you need to engagement, and what are the barriers of engagement. There are video testimonials on our website at the link which is video-testimonials. And thank you very much. Please, to access our free course and to access this particular presentation, you will be able to download our mobile app, Win Your Brand, from Apple Store, Google Play, or Amazon, or Badawy. And you can also more than happy to acquire or access any of our books which is explaining this particular concept. Thank you, and looking forward for your feedback. Under this video you might have a comment area. Please write your comment or send me an email at info@winyourbrand.com, and looking forward to hear from you.
Copyright 2017 Win Your Brand. All rights reserved. This video is subject to copyright owned by Win Your Brand. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this video is expressly prohibited, unless Win Your Brand has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.